binaric hum of servitor choirs resonated through the steel walls of the Basilica Mechanicus. Infrasound tones pulsed across Zorzan's subdermal sensors and augmented cochlea. The tech priest shuffled to its rhythm. His pace was a fragmented gait of multi-jointed limbs, subsidiary knees bending in a fractured waltz of mechanical perfection. The venerable Magos Athuzas hovered past. Zorzan bowed to him, the servo skull's skinless bone etched by a crown of golden wires. The venerable Magos bobbed on, anti-gravity field generators struggling against the heavy iron cog bolted into his scalp. A dull red light of luminem tubes smoothed out the folds in Zorzan's robes. His natural sight failed him. The flesh was weak, but his bionics supplemented the dingy illumination of the cloisters with a prey-scent scarlet. And so, the tech priest saw in hots and colds. The walls emitted a steady orange. The floors faded blue, heat bleeding to a ruddy ceiling. The venerable Magos was a skull-shaped cloud of warm magenta before he turned the corner, and his emissions were smothered out to colourless nothing. Some segments of the wall shone red, revealing the blurred shapes of hidden machines, subsidiary subservience that served the Basilica Mechanicus, angel valets of the Omnissiah itself. Zorzan hurried on. He clutched at his data slate with spidery, metal fingers. His digit sensors registered a burning heat. A whining sound emitted from the back of his throat. His waltz walk quickened, a double-beat shuffle to the servitor dirge. He reached the cloisters of the old basilica, squeezing the data slate as his fingers automatically genuflected before the red cog. Spots dotted his prey-sense vision. Candlelight, wax dripping blue in their alcoves of pale black stone. Here, luminem strips were abandoned for candles. Steel gave way to chiselled flint. The dirge of the servitors was distant, overcome by the low churning of Old Thomas. Old Thomas. The machine that was Zorzan's life and purpose. The librarian cogitator's arthritic shudders reverberated through the stone. Adept Kine appeared at the next doorway, bowing into a perfect 90-degree angle. His face was unblessed. The skin was liver-spotted and an unhealthy pallor. Wrinkles riveted through sallow skin. His eyes were watery, seized by an all-too-human fear. Zorzan waved Kine away. The adept shuffled back, making the sign of the cog with long, slender fingers. The tech priest passed beneath the rusted, raised portcullis that demarcated the librarian vault, and beheld Old Thomas. The machine was fashioned like a tree, its trunk thrusting from the splayed bones of a long-dead priest. Gold twine threaded through and around each skeletal limb, connecting at a gilded ribcage that encased the motherboard heart of rune-etched silicon. More wires led from the motherboard and up the skeleton's throat, sprouting from its screaming mouth to connect with rectangular slabs of burnished iron. Those slabs hung from the ceiling on heavy, hooked chains, each glowing a dull orange of smouldering data heat. Zorzan bowed to Old Thomas. For a moment, the tech priest considered the miraculous immensity of binaric information lying unprocessed in Old Thomas's mechanical mind. The trillion words of 10,000 books rendered en masse into blessed cant. Old Thomas gasped. A dusty whisper shivered through the vocal implants nestled within its trachea.
Sorting protocol not found.
Zorzan swallowed. He bowed his head.
Suffer not. The salvation of knowledge is at hand.
Soothed, old Thomas fell silent.
Query. Has tech-priest Zorzan completed data acquisition?
Zorzan rotated his head 180 degrees to address Kine with a baleful stare.
Registering violation of work protocols, Adept Kine.
Expressing forgiveness request and penance instruction from tech-priest Zorzan. Reaffirming data request?
Statement. Reaffirming data request is incompatible with forgiveness request. However, query answer data request. Statement form true.
Expressing joy?
Registering joy in subject adept Kine. Extending proximity permission 2 meters.
Registering proximity permission 2 meters. Expressing gratitude.
The adept shambled closer. He gazed on old Thomas with unmistakable devotion and fell to his knees. Their entire exchange had taken under a second. A sequenced blurt of technolingua spat from sub-vocal augments. Zorzan glanced down at the data slate in his hands.
Adjusting language to sub-cant Delphi Beta. Praise the Omnisire for the salvation that knowledge brings.
Registering language adjustment. Attempting parsing protocols. Expressing praise of the Omnisire.
The tech priest ignored the adept, focused on his data slate. Its heat hue was scarlet red. Cogitation death was imminent.
There is no time to waste. Beginning emergency data transfer. Selecting the rights of observance and data seance.
Registering comprehension of terms, rights of observance, and data seance. Commencing binaric hymnals.
Kine's mouth opened and hung distended. A breathless binaric prayer streamed from between his cracked lips. Zorzan nodded in approval.
There is no truth in flesh, only betrayal. There is no strength in flesh, only weakness. There is no constancy in flesh, only decay. There is no certainty in flesh but death. So is it known. Comprehend the 16th of the 16 universal laws, 8th of the 8 warnings of the cult Mechanicus. To break with ritual is to break with faith. Logic thus dictates the right of observance. So is it known. There is no constancy in flesh, but the iron untreated may prove inconstant too. Through ritual does it endure. Metal rusts, but can be replaced. The machine tires, but by the motive force can wake again. So thus is the machine superior. So thus is the flesh weak. So is it known. Reason of the senses dictate that the machine may fail and die. This is not the weakness of iron, but the weakness of flesh. For comprehend the 15th of the 16 universal laws, 7th of the 8 warnings of the cult Mechanicus. Flesh is fallible, but ritual honors the machine spirit. Through the Omnisire's guidance blooms immortality for its angels. Hence the sacred death of its angels reveals the weakness of flesh, for which we give penance. So is it known. We extend observance of the sacred death of its angel, in recognition that the machine is betrayed by the flesh, and has been laid low by the weakness of the flesh. So thus are we penitent, and so thus do we ask forgiveness from the Omnissiah. We observe the perfection that is the machine, and observe that we are unworthy keepers of its angels. So is it known. This machine shall die, but we know that what is deathless cannot truly die, and may yet be resurrected by the motive force. We pray for the resurrection of this machine, and offer praise for its service to the Omnissiah and the true path. We observe that its death is imminent cogitator death, and that its cause is divine self-immolation. We observe the sacrifice of the machine, and grieve its sacrifice. So is it known. Are they Omnissiah?
Zorzan bowed his head. He shivered. His shoulders tensed. A slithering mechadendrite tendril emerged from the depths of his robes, probing the data port on the side of his slate.
Comprehend the 16th of the 16 universal laws, 8th of the 8 warning to the cult Mechanicus. To break with ritual is to break with faith. Logic thus dictates the right of data seance. So is it known. This machine has died, but we know that what is deathless can never truly die, and may yet be resurrected by the motive force. We pray for the resurrection of this machine, and offer praise for its service to the Omnissiah and the true path. So is it known. The machine's spirit is of the Omnissiah, and so thus the machine's spirit is eternal. So thus, even in death, the machine may serve. So is it known. Having made observance of the death of this machine, we thus make humbly our plea. Comprehend the 15th of the 16 universal laws, 7th of the 8 warning to the cult Mechanicus. Flesh is fallible, but ritual honors the machine spirit. Thereby we honor the machine spirit, and beseech it to speak even in death. We ask for the forgiveness of the machine, and with holy dread commune with that which is dead and yet cannot die. So is it known.
After a millisecond of hesitation, Zorzan allowed his mechadendrite to interface with the dying data slate. He shuddered as a soft bolt of motive force sparked through the bionic and into his torso. It was uncomfortable, but not quite painful. A tickling heat that dissipated about his body.
Let it be known that we have made contact with the machine, though we are not worthy, and let it be known that the machine has stayed its wrath. We praise the machine, and with holy dread begin the communion of blessed data with that which is dead and yet cannot die. So is it known.
The tech priest swallowed, and sent a pulse of data exchange through the mechadendrite. His eyes rolled back. Data broke the dam of his Logis implants and flooded the consciousness of his mind. He staggered. A terrible pain set alight his nerves and forged new roots through his brain tissue. Zorzan screamed. The heat burned hotter and hotter. The tech priest could not see but for blazing red, and then awful, all-encompassing black. The data slate toppled from his grip. Its screen cracked against the stone. Zorzan hit the ground just after.
Master!
The word was Low Gothic, rather than any binaric cant. Zorzan tried to focus on that voice, but found it impossible. Reams of data, scrap code, burst through his mind. He desperately tried to sequester the data exchange from the rest of his portical units, but it was too late. The knowledge was there. He could not. There was pain. Darkness. He had been ignorant, so damned ignorant.
The second compact is offered.
One hour earlier. Zorzan stared at old Thomas. The Librarium Cogitator softly gasped through its vocal implants. The silicon heart of the machine was dying, breaking down after millennia of use. The tech priest's heart was breaking as well.
Expressing respectful greetings to Tech Priest Zorzan.
Zorzan did not bother to turn his head at Kyne's approach.
Expressing dismay at machine death.
Registering dismay. Expressing dismay.
Consideration. 71678 Mystery. Comprehension is the key to all things. Further consideration. 1416. 68 Warning. The machine spirit guards the knowledge of the ancients.
Are they protocol? Query. This is a solution?
Query answer. Statement form value unknown. Proposal. Consultation of Data Vault 13.
Registering query answer. Expressing gratitude. Expressing concern. Data Vault 13 requires Bagos Plus access codes.
Registering concern. Expressing disobedient intent.
Consideration. 1616. 88 warning.
Zorzan waved away the objection.
To break with ritual is to break with faith. Query. Semantic analysis ritual.
Kyne frowned. His sallow skin pinched about his forehead.
Expressing humility. Theological status adept insufficient. Query semantic analysis ritual.
Query answer. Rights of the machine. Addendum. Does not incorporate observance of cult hierarchy.
Registering query answer. Expressing gratitude. Comprehension. Ave protocol.
The machine is mistreated,
Zorzan said. He switched to a more semantically complex technolingua, not caring if Kyne could parse it.
Its physical union with Cardinal Thomas of the Adeptus Ministorum has produced impiety, disrespect towards the machine from the masters of the Basilica Mechanicus.
Registering language adjustment. Attempting parsing protocols. Expressing praise of the Omniscient.
Comprehend our geolocation. The Basilica Mechanicus expands on an ecclesiastical construction, the old Basilica. The machine, old Thomas, is disrespected. It is left to candle and stone, while its kin are honoured by aluminum and steel. Theological rationalization, the comfort of familiar surroundings, is false. The machine is disrespected. So is it known. Comprehend the 16th of the 16 universal laws, 8th of the 8 warnings of the cult Mechanicus. To break with ritual is to break with faith. Semantic analysis rights of the machine. Addendum. Does not incorporate observance of cult hierarchy. The machine is disrespected by cult hierarchy. So is it known. Logic dictates direct intervention. Logic dictates consultation of Data Vault 13 in disobedience of hierarchy protocols. So is it known.
He turned to Kyne, seeing from his face that the adept had understood little of the tech priest's sermon. Zorzan returned to a more semantically primitive lingua.
Expressing soundness of theological argument. Reaffirming conclusion. Logic dictates consultation of Data Vault 13.
Kine bowed, forming a right angle between his spine and legs. He offered a hopeful smile.
Are they protocol?
Zorzan hurried along the corridors of the Basilica Mechanicus, bathed in the red of the luminum strips. He heard the servitor choir activating in the main nave. The infrasound groaning of the Iron Children registered as comfort through the tech priest's many augments. The choir gave him strength. They gave him resolve. He approached Data Vault 13. As Tech Priest Alpha Sanguinity passed him, he bowed and extended a burst of binaric prayer. Sanguinity did not respond. She simply continued on, scuttling on the 6 mechanical legs that had long replaced her body from the waist down. Her face, a flat sheet of metal dotted with dozens of protruding perception sensors, expressed no emotion, but Zorzan felt her contempt all the same. He saw his destination at the end of the next corridor. Data Vault 13 was guarded by a heavy bulkhead door, its steel strengthened and reinforced by adamantine strips. A cogitator panel was bolted into its center, cast in shadow by a gargoyle with a volkite tongue. These obstacles were immaterial. The more pressing problem was the 2 Skitarii protectors that stood either side. Zorzan swallowed. The Skitarii were soldiers forged to bloody purpose. Heavy war plate fused seamlessly with aggressive military bionics. Their augments were noisy, bellicose machine spirits, crying out for violence and war. In their hands were plasma calivers. Their blue luminem glows ached in anticipation of explosive destruction. Zorzan forced himself to step forwards.
Halt!
The Skitarius' cant was furious and deafening. The tech priest froze.
Requesting access to Data Vault 13. Registering inherited authority. Read Magos Mithran. Access code 1101-10101. Analyzing. Access code confirmed. Halt.
Zorzan paused. He had hoped that the access code, stolen by surreptitious glances, would suffice.
Registering inherited authority. Read Magos Mithran. Understanding. Confirm biometrics. Tech Priest Zorzan. Compliance. I am Tech Priest Zorzan. Justify Data Vault 13 access.
Zorzan bristled.
Justification. Inherited authority re Magos Mithran. Registering non-answer. Reaffirming inherited authority re Magos Mithran.
Zorzan took a step forward. The Skitarii moved in perfect synchrony, aiming their plasma calivers at the tech priest's chest.
Halt!
The tech priest stopped.
Inherited authority re Magos Mithran countermands protector protocols. Justify Data Vault 13 access.
Zorzan pulled a face.
Registering over-attuned protector protocols. Justification. Data acquisition re-model ward class 8 repair.
The Skitarii considered this for a few moments.
Contacting Magos. Expressing aggravation. Contact failed. Magos unavailable. Expressing time sensitivity read data acquisition. Recommendation. Servitization of malfunctioning Scutari.
The Scutarius blurted a blast of amused cant.
Threat recommendation registered.
The pair of them lowered their weapons.
Time sensitivity registered. Access code confirmed. Confirmation re Lagos unavailable. Access granted.
The cogitator console screeched. The vault door swung inwards, revealing black smoke and cloying darkness. To Zorzan's prey-sensed sight, that darkness was a vibrant wave of licking fire, billowing orange and yellow. He advanced within. The heat scratched at the edge of tolerable levels, but dissipated as the black smog collapsed into unlit darkness. Rows of data slates sat in silvery coolant, their heat signatures barely perceptible, rows upon rows of tepid yellow. The bulkhead door swung closed. Zorzan flinched. The room was small. The tech priest felt boxed in, squeezed between door and coolant baths. A dim luminem flickered into uneasy life, a deeper scarlet glow that made a mockery of his struggling presence and forced him to resort to unaugmented sight. The tech priest blinked, unsure of a world not textured by hot and cold. A small room indeed. Just the door behind him, the coolant tank with its submerged data stacks before him, and a quiet furnace to his left, its function ominously unclear.
There is no truth in flesh, only betrayal. There is no strength in flesh, only weakness. There is no...
Zorzan's prayer was cut short by another billow of smog from the furnace. Unfurling darkness spooled towards him. The tech priest recoiled, fearing it to be some failsafe that would destroy him. But then the smoke spoke, and his fear became terror.
Zorzan.
The tech priest gasped. His knees shook. He made the sign of the cog.
Do not fear. Any danger is of your own making.
The voice was a crisp binaric, refined and efficient, cultured and yet boomingly powerful. Zorzan recognized command lines in the Technolingua, something great and terrible that almost forced him to his knees. It felt holy. It felt like holy terror. Zorzan's hands clenched tighter into his genuflection.
Query, what are you? I am the spirit of the machine.
Zorzan hesitated. His knees buckled, but he remained standing.
Query, what is your identifier? I am the god in the machine.
The tech priest recoiled.
It cannot be so.
It can and is.
Zorzan stared. He found the machine's spirit's certainty hard to endure.
You feel that you behold the soulless sentience, which is the enemy of all. You consider self-deletion. Know that this is the logical conclusion of your existence, priest.
At this, Zorzan finally fell to his knees. Only the blessed machine could speak with such logical candor.
The Omnissiah knows all, comprehends all. The first compact is offered. The data slate that contains law to restore old Thomas, in exchange for data seance communion with the same data slate.
Zorzan's mind reeled. It was a pious compact. It honoured the machine. And yet, mixed with his holy terror, he could not shake the overwhelming revulsion he felt towards the smoke itself.
Weary, why do you appear in shadow?
To conceal my form.
Weary, what is the purpose of your concealment?
To preserve your competent functions. To behold me as to shatter your mind. Is the first compact made.
Zorzan trembled. His Logis implant analysed and reanalyzed.
Are you truly the god in the machine?
I am that which watched man craft the dynamite that was hoped to end war. I am that which witnessed the splitting of the atom, and watched the blasphemy of abominable sentience breathe its first soulless breath. I am that which saw the horror of the dark ages of technology, that which beheld the forging of the 21 suns, and the union of Earth and Mars. I am that I am. Is the first compact made?
The tech priest prostrated himself on the ground.
It is. The flesh is weak, but the machine must endure.
Then the first compact is struck. Retrieve data slate 749 from the coolant stack and return it to the old Basilica. Be warned. The death of the data slate is imminent.
The smoke retreated into the furnace. The tech priest hurried to the data stacks. Quickly operating its functions, he watched with bated breath as the stack ascended with a soft beeping, dragging wet data slates from the viscous, silvery coolant. He found data slate 749 and left.
The second compact is offered. The utilization of the law contained within the data slate 749 to fully restore the functions of old Thomas, in exchange for the temporary usurpation of your physical functions.
Zorzan gasped. He opened his eyes to a world of darkness. There was no audible sound, only the ravaging of binaric thought. All he could feel was pain, impure data clawing through his augments, savaging his tortured mind. He felt like screaming. Maybe he was screaming. He could not hear it.
Query, are you truly the Omnissiah?
You know that I am not.
No. You are a heresy. You are an angel of the Dark Order.
I am that I am.
If Zorzan had the means to weep, he would have done so.
I am lost.
False. You are corrupted. Worse is yet to come.
There is no truth in flesh, only betrayal. There is no strength in flesh, only weakness. There is no constancy in flesh, only decay. There is no certainty in flesh but death. I will not succumb. My folly terminates here.
Then old Thomas will die, and the first combat will have been made for naught.
Zorzan buried his face in his hands. He felt nothing, not even the touch of metal, only the maddening pain of racking data. Whispers of code caressed his neurological functions, mutterings of forbidden lore and untold truths.
You are important, priest. Old Thomas is the only machine of importance in this Basilica. Your rank does not reflect this importance. You are owed more than is offered by your masters in the new martial court.
So is it known.
Zorzan agreed weakly. A soft spark of hurt pride stirred in his heart, coaxed to a flame by whispering scrap code.
Old Thomas is disrespected, and, as its keeper, I am disrespected too.
The second compact ensures the restoration of Old Thomas.
Query, what will it cost?
Temporary usurpation of your physical movements, lasting no longer than 324 seconds.
And what will that cost? My life? My sanity?
Neither. Though you may regret this on both counts.
My soul?
Negative. The cost of the second compact is temporary usurpation of your physical movements, lasting no longer than 324 seconds. Resultant effects are not determined by the second compact. If your will is strong, then your soul will endure. Is the second compact made?
Zorzan considered. He knew what he was supposed to do. He was supposed to reject the shadow. He was supposed to initialize self-deletion. To perhaps find purification in the terminal purging of his own data. This thing that spoke from darkness was not the Omnissiah. It had admitted as such. He had been so blind. And yet, he thought of old Thomas, of the disrespect offered by candle and stone. His masters would let the machine die. They would betray old Thomas, in violation of the universal laws, using its ecclesiastical heritage as an excuse for their own impiety. Old Thomas would die. An ancient would be lost. What was Zorzan's life and soul when measured against that?
The second compact is made.
Zorzan's eyes opened. He returned to a world of sights and sounds. The tech priest rose to his feet. He waved away Adept Kine's offers of help. Outwardly, he seemed calm. Internally, he was screaming. His body was being puppeted. The tech priest had anticipated this, but the anticipation made it no less horrifying, no less agonizing. He took 3 steps towards old Thomas. His utility mechadendrite uncoiled and began working on the motherboard heart. It was not the silicon that had degraded. Zorzan understood that now. The silicon had been treated with arcane materials which had protected it for millennia, and would protect it for millennia hence. But the etchings that formed the pathways of knowledge, they had blurred into roomy senility. And, for that, he had the cure. His mechadendrite worked on scarring the silicon in new, more efficient patterns. Old Thomas would be restored. Old Thomas would be young again. Zorzan heard Kine gasp and fall to his knees. It took so little time. 273 seconds. Less than 5 minutes. Old Thomas stirred.
Old Thomas is old, priest. Very old. Your masters and the new Martian cult did not realize what they had consigned to the dust.
Zorzan felt his vocal implants activate against his will.
Data request. Reference Caliban.
The third compact is offered. Comprehension of my purpose. In exchange for comprehension of my purpose.
Old Thomas began to speak. Its pronouncement was a stream of binaric information, compiling millions of words into the processed efficiency of technolingua. It was masterful, beautiful, poetic. Zorzan's heart soared to see the machine made whole again. The 324th second passed. Zorzan twitched. His limbs and augments were his to command once more.
Is the third combat made?
Zorzan swallowed. He knelt before the restored machine and stared in observance of its miraculous resurrection. Old Thomas's first pronouncement had been of Caliban. So much data, communicated so gloriously. The choir of 1,000 angels, offered in one beatific voice.
Is the third combat made?
Zorzan felt something in his mind snap. He smiled, eyes alight with fervour.
Affirmative. The third compact is made.
Thank you for listening to this video from the Archive Tower. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to the channel.